What's going on, everybody? This is your man Cam, and we and D are back for Blerdline News. What's in the news today? Something important I almost forgot. Oh, that's right. Netflix is raising the prices again. Now, I say again, but the last time they raised the prices was 2023, which now is 2 years.
Yeah.
And one thing
Feels
that I
weird
always
to
like,
say that that's 2 years ago.
yeah, that was 2 years ago. And the differences between then and now are kind of huge, especially with their recent addition of WWE. And that's probably where they got a lot of their Q4 new subscribership, because WWE on Netflix is kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's making waves. I watched the Raw debut, and that as a wrestling fan, and over the last few years, have not been into any kind of wrestling. Here and there, last year I watched WrestleMania, the Return of the Rock, and all that stuff. But that's a nostalgia act. That doesn't forecast any kind of excitement for what's next, what's new, what's hot. But this felt very much like a new Raw. Everything from the production to uh, the production value to the matches to everything. It just felt fresh, new, like it was elevated in a way that it hadn't been. It had like an almost sport. You could tell the difference. I remember Triple H or Paul Levesque hired the this guy who I can't remember his name. His name's blanking on me, but he's a former ESPN exec for College Game Day, and he became their new director of production, or the head of their production. And immediately you can see the sort of sports based production presentation that he's going with, everything from the drone shot and all of that stuff, the interviewing wrestlers in the crowd, that's with the crowd behind them. Like it was a pretty good debut. Having said that, I already knew that it was going to mean big things for Netflix, especially for the subscribers. I didn't know when they were I didn't expect them to start announcing price hikes so soon, but based on their Q4 2024 earnings, according to Variety, they had their biggest ever quarterly increase in subscribers, with a gain of 18.9 million for that period. So yeah, that price hike, and so now the new price is going up by $2.50 if you want to get it without ads, which will go from $15.49 to $17.99 per month. So subscribers got some choices to make, but yeah, the WWE and Netflix partnership has been mutually beneficial to both entities, and both entities are trying to capitalize on all the gains that they can make, and they are making right now.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's going to be interesting too, because I think what everyone forgets, and I kind of remind folks, is like Netflix is a technology company. They're not a movie studio. I mean, they play like a movie studio, they play like a TV studio, animation, but their core business is technology. So therefore, they're going to adjust their pricing and everything else as they can to make the most money that they can, because we're still a capitalist society. You know how that is. But they put all of their all their R&D is in the actual core of their business, which is technology, and then that spill over to everything else, which is kind of smart, because they're kind of doing what Apple did. Apple's core business was more in the software, but then they made all the hardware stuff to kind of add to the business, and now you can't even tell what's what.
Yeah, and both innovation.
Innovative too, exactly. And now that they diversified, the wrestling thing was a genius. Doing more sports stuff is also even smart, because now it takes away from the other legacy media that's been doing it. And so, I mean, there was still, they're still having some hiccups, but like that Raw debut, I didn't see any hiccups. It was actually pretty smooth. I was surprised. I was a little jarred at the ads, just because I haven't seen an ad on Netflix before.
Yeah, well, not in that way. I think
Yeah.
we started to get used to it on the streaming services. Peacock had added
Amazon
ads.
too.
Prime had have them but they sort of do it in a way that doesn't harken back to traditional TV, which Raw's presentation of advertisements, commercials, promos, whatever, had that immediate feeling like, oh, we're still watching something on traditional linear broadcast cable or network TV. And I think that, and I said this to a friend of mine, I don't know if I said this on the pod, but that would be the thing that would halt this great reception that they're getting right now. Because I don't think, in fact, I would confidently say I know people don't want that. I don't think they mind, the vast majority mind advertisements. I think the most people in the audience gets it, that advertisements is just at the ad agency, the ad industry is just intermingled and married to media, and there's no separating that. The advertiser is going to get theirs, and that's just how it is. But this last couple of I watched the last week a little bit anyway, and it seems like they heard, or at least they were cognizant of that, and they may have just used that debut to get, kind of do a blitz on ads and on their sponsors. But this last week it was more in tune with like Prime, where you get like the runtime at the top that tells you how many ads and how long it's going to be. And so far, I haven't seen any more than 4 ads going over 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, even in like Amazon, I was watching Cross on there, and I was, there's ads and stuff, but a lot of the ads are pretty much that front loading, right? So it'd be like 30 minutes up front, then you get to watch what you want unencumbered, and then you can do something like that. So I actually don't mind.
Which is the best way to do it.
Yeah, I think yeah, exactly. Even Tubi, when they do their ads, I mean, Tubi was like, or I said Tubi, Pluto was, they would do like a good 3 minutes, but it would be like front loaded at the end, and then like maybe somewhere in the middle if you're watching a movie. So at least it's a place where it doesn't get too jarring, because I think it was Disney when I was watching it, and then it was just an ad out of nowhere. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, at first they're
haphazard.
Yeah, it was very sloppy. They fixed theirs a little bit since, but yeah, I think early on everybody was kind of just trying to throw the ads into the streaming, not really understanding that professionals behind the scene, but kind of struggling to adapt immediately to the streaming culture, which is the less this consumer sees and feels that they're being bombarded by ads. I mean, you can get the ads in there, but the less they see it or realize it's there, the more receptive of it I think most subscribers will be. Because when the less like you said, if it's at the top, 30 seconds, a minute, whatever, boom, bang, boom, advertisements, promos, all the stuff, you get it in, and then you don't disrupt my program, because that's the reason why people love streaming.
Yeah, and I mean, that's part of the reason why I still had Netflix, is just because like they didn't have ads, or the one that I ads. So I was like, and it's funny because I think Netflix is probably the only places that, besides Crunchyroll, where I'll pay for the extra bit just so I don't have the ads, so it doesn't really mess my experience up. And then like Max has their own stuff, which their own ads, whatever. But yeah, like the Apple one, not Apple one, but the Disney one was definitely the most jarring. Paramount as well. But I think at this point, though, Netflix, I mean, they're still kind of killing the game. And if they get, we were just talking about the Oscars, which that'll be a whole nother conversation. But if they actually if they they have an Oscar contender this time, it's getting a lot of buzz, blah, 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 rightfully so, wrongfully so, doesn't matter. But just like Amazon Studios, when they got their Oscar, it's one of those things where like, as silly as we think the Oscars are, getting one from a non-legacy studio now just gives them more wiggle room and more like weight to do things. And go ahead.
I was going to add, Netflix has won Oscars already for their films that they've made. So, and I forget which one, it was a German war film that they did a couple years ago.
Oh, that's right.
It really racked up at the Oscars. So they're far beyond. I mean, probably they have to beef up their Emmy wins, because that's probably where they're lacking in their TV department in terms of quality. I mean, they got shows up the wazoo and some of them, and a lot of them are very highly receptive. They have their audience, and I think that's been Netflix's brand. Is like, we have an eclectic smorgasbord of stuff that you can sample there, and that's always been their brand. And so now they can sort of double down on it, and they're becoming leaders in what is defining TV and
That's
film.
true. Yeah, and it's weird because
Rewriting.
and now shows are actually following Netflix's formula of the amount of shows that's coming out, right? So now Netflix, they rarely go 13 episodes now. They're pretty much at six to eight, break it up, and 16 altogether or whatever, or 12 altogether, but they're not dropping anything that's like 13 episodes. I mean, their partnerships with Korean dramas and Chinese dramas, those ones are different because they go longer. But even the Korean dramas now, they'll be 18 episodes, but then that's dropping weekly. And I'll be over a certain amount of weeks that the thing comes. Where newer stuff that drops, they'll drop, but it'll be 8 episodes or it'll be 6. And now we're all starting to see everyone else copy that same method where shows aren't getting that 24-hour run. I mean, that ended a long time ago, but now you're getting piecemeal at a time. So you're getting anywhere from 8 to 10 episodes, and then it's a break for however much time, and then you're dropping the next part.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it with both. To your point about many networks and broadcast companies going towards the Netflix model, we saw it with Max in both Creature Commandos and Doom Prophecy, and it's rare that you feel, I mean, not so much with Creature Commandos, but I felt with Doom Prophecy probably could have benefited from at least 2 more episodes to round it out to be either 8 or 4 to make it 10. But I respect the restraint, and I respect the desire to shoot for quality and less, understand that sometimes less is more. You can get in and get out. You don't need to drag something across half the year.
Yeah, and it's like, and it shows that more people aren't, like you said, don't really care so much about the ad supported stuff, because their signups are about 55% came from the ad supported memberships, and then on top of that, year over year, their signups are up 30%. So it's just like Netflix is kind of doing everything in the right in terms of how they're doing it. Now on the consumer side, it does suck because now we are starting to get streaming fatigue as we what are we on, Streaming War 7 now?
Well, we're in this. I don't know what the number is, but we're definitely at a interesting phase where now it's no longer content wars as much as it is. It's not a war. It's more, as much as it is peacetime, where they're where the networks and the streaming services, everybody, all the content owners and gatekeepers are sharing things. Like now, if you look at certain TV shows, movies, they used to sit on like a Netflix or a Max, or HBO, formerly known as HBO Go or whatever, Prime, and all these platforms. They would sit there for like 5 years or like several years. Now a lot of this stuff is like there for like a month or 2, and then it's gone. You got to find it somewhere else. Like Hulu, I was literally in the middle of rewatching Fringe, and it just stopped. And then I was like, what just happened? They lost the rights ended, and they took it down.
Damn.
Same with Hulu.
Did it move somewhere else, or is this not out now?
It's just not streaming right now.
Wow.
I don't know. I guess for whoever, when Warner Brothers, I'm sure they're getting ready to license it to someone. Someone's going to pick it up. It's too much of one of those popular network TV shows to like Supernatural or X-Files, where even if it's, you can run you can run Fringe in syndication and it'll probably do good numbers, that it's one of those. So I think it'll end up somewhere, but right now it's like gone. Just like Westworld, you can't find, you can only, I think, buy Westworld season 1.
I think you can buy it on Amazon or through one of the apps, but I don't think it's on anywhere like just streaming or anything like that. Because I actually looked it up just recently too. Because I was like, someone from Westworld was working on something else. Oh, dude. And I was like, oh, let me go check out Westworld again. And then I was like, what the heck? So yeah, it's kind of weird, man. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, I mean, it is weird, and I think that's the thing. In addition to this story that Variety put out, they also had another article which was, and I'm not going to go into the specifics, but the headline was with WWE, Netflix pummels traditional live TV into submission, and I was like, that's kind of an apt way to describe it, because now literally they've taken away traditional TV's last leg of, this is something we can do that you can't. Before it was like, oh, you're never gonna beat us because you can't serve advertisers, and you need that revenue and all of that stuff. And every single thing, Netflix is just like, I see what you're saying, but I'm gonna raise you here, and I'll see you when you catch up.
and they're paying top dollar for a lot of their newer people to bring them over from TV. So out of all the ad places, hair's all crazy right now, but out of all the tech companies, like Netflix is as near at the top in compensation. So it's like they can easily lure TV people that have been doing great stuff at literally any other legacy place and bring them over. So they're not want for cash to make sure that everything goes the right way. Just a good example was the Jake Paul and Tyson fight, and the streaming was kind of fucked up. But then when WWE's Raw, that shit was pristine.
Because that's a partnership, and with that fight, it was like, we'll get it on here, and I heard different stories that the Netflix execs got really involved in that one and whatever. But I was like, you're not going to get that with WWE. With WWE, they're bringing their people in. They are overseeing every detail of the production, and they know that when they go live, if there's something wrong, it's going to be something that they can flip and make money off of it. If it's like a mistake that they can catch. But you can see that Netflix just has embedded this, and that's why I said this partnership with WWE is kind of apt, because Netflix has embedded itself into culture in the same way that the WWE has. When you think streaming, you don't think specifically Hulu, Prime, Max, Disney. You think Netflix. Because Netflix, just like when people say professional wrestling or pro wrestling, you don't think AEW, WCW, TNA, Ring of Honor, New Japan. You think WWE, because those things are the representatives, or considered the highest of that particular whatever. But not just that, those things have captured the heart and mind of pop culture. And like Triple H was saying, you don't say CBS and chill, you say Netflix and chill. That is where people's minds are.
Yeah, and I think then I don't see it changing anytime soon, because what's going to happen is we're going to get back to cable as they keep bundling everything. So I think as long as Netflix does what it's been doing and doesn't bundle, but honestly, as long as they don't bundle with anybody, they're pretty much good.
But they don't have to. That's the thing. They don't. Unlike Max from Warner Bros. Discovery and Hulu with Disney, and Netflix is somehow, even though their original content is not better than those others. Max, their Netflix shows are not better than shows on HBO or Max. Some of them just beat Disney's shows in terms of storytelling, but in terms of production quality, Disney pretty much
they're
doing everybody away. And then the rest. So Netflix doesn't have to bundle. They bundling with anyone would bring them down, because
and bringing someone else up.
They have all of their content, they have a huge content library that is theirs now, that they own, and they're continuing to hash out more. Not to mention the stuff that they're purchasing rights to.
And and they're now 12, I forgot how many countries they are, but then now they have content from those countries as well. And so like that's the other thing, their international aspect's been hella growing because they've been getting new content from South Africa, from China, from Korea, from Mexico, Bollywood. Like
they're literally saying there is no brand cap on what we will feature on our platform, and that is where they put the others at a disadvantage, because at the end of the day, Max brand has to be Max brand. At the end of the day, Disney's brand has to be Disney's brand. Now, I'll grant you, Disney has opened the floodgates. There are rated R things on Disney Plus.
I just saw that. Yep. Shout out Deadpool.
Yeah, exactly. So Disney is saying like, we're ready to compete, and we are going to compete because we understand that we can't just be the PG and PG-13 kings, queens, or rulers. We have to be more diverse because our competition is hella diverse. There is no Prime, there is nothing that Prime won't produce, in terms of content, and same for the others. So Netflix has put them all at a disadvantage, and it's probably apropos because they are the ones that got the whole thing going in the first place. Binge culture. Think about this. Netflix used one of AMC's shows to build its own brand so well that at first, for a long time, people thought that Breaking Bad was a Netflix show.
Yep.
They didn't, if you weren't,
that's where you found it at. A lot of people didn't see it when it was on television at that time. So
I didn't. I watched the first 3 seasons of Breaking Bad on Netflix, binging it. That and Mad Men were the shows that started the binge culture that we know of today, along with the streaming.
Yeah, I agree. Those are the ones that kind of got people hooked, and that's when they started to binge like those two specifically. And then when other things that Netflix had that was original, like Orange is the New Black or something to that effect, or
House of Cards,
House of Cards, Curb Your Enthusiasm, those things that got that, because at first all of the companies were just like, Netflix will do a deal with you, and then they're like, wait a minute.
That's when you started seeing a lot of popular titles disappear off Netflix, because they're like, wait, you're building up your brand with our content. You're doing 100%. A better job.
Doing a better job.
People are loving our content on your platform. Your platform. What's that all about? So the price hike, $250. I don't think that's too bad in terms of $17.99 for what you're getting with Netflix. I think if it were any more than that, I think people will probably be like, no, they'll start. But I think at this price, they should be fine in terms of like not having a mass exodus of people being like, well, I'm not going to pay extra because, it's not worth it. I think they keep making it worth the while. So you got to expect that the prices will go up. As long as the content is where it is and what it is. Again, it's just the quantity mixed in with a little quality, but also the partnership now with WWE and all that brings and will bring, because there's probably no shortage of things they can do. And if they move the Raw 30-year library to Netflix.
Oh, see, that's the part that I was curious about. If that actually happens, then because WWE's own app with all their legacy stuff is another moneymaker on its own.
And it's on Peacock still. But they removed all of, and I think it's going to stay on Peacock for a while, just because they have good deal with them, and Peacock wants to keep it because, again, for those people who are, and then here's the other thing. It's not just 40 years of WWE content. It's the territories, it's Mid-South Wrestling, it's Stampede Wrestling,
I didn't know
it's
that
world
either.
class
All their
championship racing. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, I
It's
didn't know that.
AWA. It's like all the stuff that Vince McMahon and his father didn't own, but years later, Vince McMahon and under the WWE would purchase all of these libraries, these wrestling, Smoky Mountain Wrestling that was ran by Jim Cornette. All of that stuff is available now on Peacock. So, and that's huge. We're talking about almost 100 years worth of wrestling content. We're talking about going back to a lot of Ric Flair's 70s and 80s matches, and Sting and all of these people before they were even famous. Shawn Michaels, when he was wrestling as a tag team,
Marty Jannetty, yep, the Hardy Boys. Or
yeah,
not the Hardy Boys, but the
Rockers.
The Rockers.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, man, that's just to say that this is just for Raw Live.
Yeah.
When they start,
because now everything else starts this month, right? The other ones, the other pay-per-views now are gonna be all on. I saw the list of just like all the different pay-per-views that would normally be somewhere else are all now on Netflix. So,
and it was they were on Peacock at first.
Oh, Peacock.
Now they're going to be on Netflix, which is again a big loss to Peacock.
Loss.
It's a good thing NBC got the NBA back, because they were losing some of their WWE content, and most likely, depending on how things go with Netflix, they're gonna probably lose a lot of that library. They're probably gonna lose that stuff.
Yeah,
because
I can agree. I see that.
Yeah, yes, sir. But
nuts. Yeah, well, y'all's fair and loving capitalism. So
yeah, it is. Until it consumes us all, and we're all, there's nothing else to spend or buy or build.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thanks everybody for listening. You know what I'm saying? We just hopped on real quick because our chat was talking about the Netflix hike, and we're like, wait a minute, you gotta stop. It's a pod.
Yeah, I mean, it's everybody's got Netflix, or most people have Netflix subscriptions, and it is going to impact us all. So
that is true. All right, everybody, thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you guys later.